Have you ever paused to wonder who or what exactly is an engineer? This profession is traditionally male-dominated. Tomorrow, though, June the 23rd, is International Women in Engineering Day. This day is designed to celebrate the work that women engineers around the world are doing. Not just to respond to the pandemic, but also to support lives and livelihoods. The theme for this year is inventors, and innovators. And we have with us Tonya Bartlette, a woman and a civil engineer who is going to discuss International Women in Engineering Day. Good morning, Tonya, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You are certainly welcome. I'm going to dive right in. What is an engineer?
Well, simply put, an engineer is someone who uses science and math to solve problems, everyday problems, anything that you need solving, pretty much.
Okay, so if I want to find out why my shoe heel broke, we can use some engineering to find out that?
Yes, we can. Okay. We just need some data. All we need is some information. We put it together, we analyze it, and we help you solve your problem.
Okay, so what part of engineering do you fit in?
I am a civil engineer.
Okay.
However, civil engineers are different slightly because you can be a geotechnical engineer, you can be a transportation engineer, you could be a structural engineer, you could be an environmental engineer, or you can be a water engineer. So it's a little diverse. There are different fields in civil engineering.
And what field are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I studied water engineering.
Lovely.
That's what I chose to do because you have to pick a concentration.
Okay.
So you get a base of everything. So you get a base of geotechnical, structural, the whole full scale.
Okay.
But you have to pick concentration. So I did water.
All right, let's talk a little bit about why you got into engineering in the first place. Are there any specific stories that you have to tell us? Did you always want to be an engineer or a water engineer, or did it happen by chance?
That's a funny story. My sister is an electrical engineer as well. So she was always encouraging us to do different things. So when we were in school, she was like, you have to do a technical subject. Whatever you do, you have to do something technical. So that's how I got into civil engineering. I really wanted to be project management, go into project management, but I ended up doing civil because of the program that was being offered by the University of the Virgin Islands, and that's how I really got into it, because they were offering the program.
Oh, great stuff, Tonya. So in terms of university, obviously we read the intro that spoke to this imbalance, it seems, of male to females when it comes to engineering. What were your experiences in the classroom like?
For my class, so I went to UVI first, and then I transferred to USF in Florida. Okay. So it was pretty balanced. It wasn't like there were many guys to less females. To me, that cohort had a balance. Okay. When we went to like specialization classes, there would be less females, but it wasn't like it was an overabundance of guys. Okay. It was still a good mix.
Right.
So why do you think when it got to specialization, the female ratio dropped in terms to the male?
I think persons had different interests.
Okay.
Because you can pick any spectrum of engineering that you want to. So persons have different interests because civil is tends to be a little bit more hands-on.
Okay.
But persons, it's just their interests.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about water engineering for a little bit. I imagine that, and this is just me imagining this, you would be able to explain and account for the water shortages that we're having here and what we need to do to tap up our resources.
I don't want to touch on that.
I'm sorry.
But I will say that persons should really invest in rainwater harvesting. I recently concluded my master's from UE. That's why I was mixing up UVI. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I did my project on rainwater harvesting in Nevis. So that was pretty successful because it proved that we can all do rainwater harvesting and we can live sustainably. Yeah. So that's something that we can adapt.
See, I don't understand why you didn't want to touch on it. You did such a very good job.
That's a lovely answer. So you said you went to UE, so I'm going to ask the next question pertaining to the balance, the ratio between men and women. Why do you think more women in the US do engineering than in the Caribbean?
Culture, pretty much.
Okay.
I worked in the US for about a year before I came back home.
Okay.
So when I worked on a job site, persons were more welcoming to females. So the first job site I went on, there were literally like less than 10 females, and there were like 400 persons on the job site.
Wow.
So I knew the females. We would, just say hi because we're females.
Of course.
But it was more, I don't know if it's because of the rules on the job site that you have to respect persons and you have to, don't discriminate.
Okay.
So it was more welcoming and persons were willing to share.
Okay.
Here, it's a little of that, but there's still some, I don't want to call it issues, but there's still some things that we have to work through culturally here to encourage more females to get into engineering.
Okay. So how have you managed that? Have you experienced any of that in your workplace here, and how have you managed to get over it?
A little, but at the end of the day, we all have a job to do, and I come in, I do my job, and go home.
I love it. Love it.
With a smile.
With a smile.
Yes.
The smile is infectious, by the way.
Indeed. All right, so we're talking about, of course, you're here because it's International Women in Engineering Day. When you think of that day, what does it mean to you?
Honestly, I didn't know there was that day. I'll be completely
So tomorrow
honest.
you have to celebrate big.
Yes, I have to.
You're in good company because I didn't know you.
There's a lot of internationals.
It's a really good day. I think that the day should be used to highlight females in engineering. It should be used as a day to encourage other persons to join the profession. So next year we'll try to work on something.
Yes.
We need to get more females involved, especially locally.
Okay.
I feel that females bring something different to the conversation as opposed to men, not bashing men, but
Not that I've ever been back.
we do add a little bit more flair, a little bit more attention to detail. We think of things differently. So we can both have different perspectives on water, per se.
Yes.
So I may use water differently to a guy, and he may just be like, oh, I'll just leave on the pipe to wash the dishes. A female is going to be like, oh, let me catch some water in a bucket and wash my dishes.
If there's a meeting and it's mostly guys, and let's say you're the only lady, instead of the other men taking a pen and paper and taking the notes, they look to you, the woman, to assume that role.
Right.
Have you encountered that, and how would you deal with something like that?
I have encountered that, and I just pass it on to someone else, to be honest, because why should we always, do that? Stick to those stigmas. We need to break those cultural stigmas, to be honest.
Okay.
So you have to really stand up and be present in the room and say no.
I love it. Be present. Be present.
Yes.
So any other encounters you would have had where you had to be present?
Not really, because persons do respect you. No. They do respect you.
Once you stand up for yourself.
Right.
Good stuff.
After a while, they probably get tired of it, but as a female, you have to. You have to stand your ground.
Okay. So during the break, I was also asking you, I know it's a role that you wanted to assume, but how hard was it to study engineering whilst in university?
Well, it was challenging, but I must say that it was a good challenge because it also helped me to, develop certain skills and be able to solve problems more easier.
Okay.
I did have some late studying nights, so don't get me wrong, engineering is good, it's fun, but you have to put in the work. You have to.
Okay, good stuff.
Well, you wouldn't be here without it. So obviously you were successful then. That's a very good thing. We're talking about Women in Engineering Day, International Women in Engineering Day. This is your career. So what have some of the highlights been in your career, and where do you see yourself down the line?
Oh, that one is a tough one because I feel like I'm just starting.
Okay.
So I feel like I have a long way to go to really get some solid establishments under my belt. So I'm working towards that. I have a few things, in my mind that I'm working on, a few projects. So hopefully those can come to fruition soon. But right now, not really. Not really.
All right, follow-up question for you. Do you feel as though, because obviously we're here talking about women in engineering, has there ever been a point where you felt that you were that person in the room who could potentially be idolized by other women because of what you do?
Actually, no. I'll be honest. I'm a shy person, so not really. For me to come here, I had to have like a conversation with my other half and my mother. They're like, do it.
Yeah, do it. Look, easy peasy.
But I do want to, encourage other females and be able to go out and have sessions and talk to persons.
Nice.
I did the agriculture fair in Nevis for water department this year, and I spoke to a group of 6 farmers.
Okay.
And I was like, so what are you guys going to study? And they were like, oh, I want to be a lawyer, and one somewhat undecided. So I told them, maybe you should go into engineering. And one was like, yes, we should do engineering. And we had a good conversation.
Nice.
So I'm hoping from that conversation, at least 2 of them would do engineering.
Lovely.
Because I do realize that our country needs more engineers.
It does.
Because we are evolving, things are changing. So we need more engineers, more local engineers.
I love that. I love that. So what do you think about the team? It's inventors and innovators. What do you think of that?
I think it's a good theme because, as women, we are resourceful, so we could pull anything from anywhere. No disrespect.
There is no safe way for me to respond to that, realistically.
So we are resourceful. So I think the theme is, it's good, it's timely.
Okay.
I think it's time that women, step to the forefront and say, yes, we can do the same thing that men can do and better. So yes.
His face. So other than the advice that you just threw out there to the young ladies to take up a role in engineering, what other advice would you give to them so that they can pursue this particular career path?
I must say, it's not easy to just get up and say, okay, I'll do engineering.
Okay.
If my mother did not encourage me, I don't think I would be an engineer. Thank you to her for that. But I want the conversation to be more of the influencers from teachers, from persons in society who can encourage females and tell them, look, it's not a male's job, it's a female's job. You could do it. It's anybody's job.
It's anybody's job.
So you can do it. If you want to fix cars, you could do it.
Exactly.
If you want to do construction, you can do it.
Yes.
I mean, there are lots of mechanisms and tools that you can use in today's world to make jobs easier. So there's no reason why a female can't do any job.